Hello everyone, welcome back to the Angular Live project. In this video, we will see how we do the testing for student login API which we created in the previous video using the Postman. So in the previous video, we created this login API, and in this we have set up if the username and the password is matching with the database, then what we are doing, we are generating a JWT token, and this JWT token is basically like we have imported some libraries using the NuGet package manager that we have seen in the previous video, and we are taking automated value of the JWT secret from app setting.json file. So that we are getting from here, like we have put a one variable here, and through this config object we are getting this value. So in this video we will see how to do the testing for login. So let's put the breakpoint here and go to the Postman, and in this Postman, like what we have to do, as we have tested for the register API, we will do same for the login. So before that, let's run this Visual Studio. So the API will be available for us, and after running this one, let's go to the Postman and copy this URL class. So we are adding one more, and this API name is login. So give the login here, and it's a post request. So once I will click on this, let's go to the body part. Here in the row, let's select the JSON, and after selecting, we have to give as a username and the password. When you will see here, we are checking with the username and then password. So these values we have to provide as a login to the application. So these are the similar to this one. So what I will do, I will copy this one and I will paste it, and I will remove email ID and full name. I will keep as the username and the password. So these username and the password is existing to the database. When you will see, like this is the table which we have created as a ASP.NET users. Now this one, when I will run this application, so we in the previous video we have created these two users. One is the MS, another is the dot. So let's go back to the Postman. When I will hit on send, it will come here, and we can see like what is the username is this dot, and the password is coming here. So when I will see like what code we have done here, like if the username exists, that is dot, so then it will check for the password. So after checking the password, it will come here. So let's run. So at point of this time, what we are getting string reference not set an instance of the string. So let's see what error we are doing here. So let's go back to the code, and when we will see, so currently we have given the space for the variable which we are taking. Let's remove the space, save it again and rerun the application, and again we will give a post request to this API which we have created here. So when I will give the post request again, and let's debug this code, and after debug, okay, it is working fine now. Now using the token handler, it will create an object of this one, and it will create a token for us, and then it will write the token to the token variable, and it will return this token to the API. And when I will run this application, we can see it is giving the token. So when we do the login to the application, it will give us the token to us, and through that token, what we can do, like any operation what we are going to do, we can authenticate over this token. So that username we are doing against dot. If I will do for the MS and run this application, so same output it will give for this also. So let's remove debug as point of this time, and I run this API. For the MS also, it is generating the different token, and as the JWT say, it has three parts. One is the header, then payload, this is the another one, and then dot, that is the last final output it give. That three part is divided with the JWT token. Now for more testing, what we will do, we will create a one controller here, and using that controller, like what we will do, we will write like controller, or I will say the API to get the student details, and through that one what we will do, we will fetch after login through that code. So let's go to the solution explorer, and in this controller, what I will do, I will add a one controller, and I will select as a API controller empty, and from here what I will do, I will select this API control class, and here I will give the student basic info. So student basic info. So when I will click on add, so now this is added under this controller folder. We can see student basic info, and inside this one what I'm going to write, I'm going to write in one API. So let's write that API. So public first let's create the constructor. So what I'm going to do is I'll copy this one, and in this what I will do, I will take one variable of the user manager. So let's take that variable of the user manager. So user manager, and for that one we have to add it like we have to take a one namespace, that is identity namespace, and inside this one what we will do, we will pass the application user. So let's pass the application user, and that we have defined inside the model class. So let's take that one. So that is the application user. Let's create the object of this one as a U, and now next what we have to do, let's take a one local variable related to this user manager application user. So let's take one local variable for this one, and I'm going to write it as a user manager, and inside this user manager what I will do, I will pass this whatever we have injected into the constructor. Now next what we have to do, we have to create a API, and that API is for to getting the data from the that API will return the basic info of student. So async then task, and inside this task I will pass the object, like as a return type it will return the object, and here I will write the method name. So that I'm going to write as a get student details, and inside this student details, like what logic we are going to write, we are going to write like first of all string stdid, and first of all we will get the user ID. So let's get that user ID first of all. So for taking the user ID, what we have to write, users dot claims, and after that we will write dot first, and then what we have to pass inside this one, we have to pass c dot type equal to user ID. So that we have to pass here that user ID, and we will get the value. So whatever the user will log into that like login, and then through that token what we will get the user ID, and after getting the user ID what we will do, we will take a one more variable called user, and inside this one we will write the await, and using the user manager what we will find, the ID. So that we will find using the std ID. So from here we will find the ID, and after that finding the ID what we will return from here, so we will return the basically the details, student detail, and what we want to return as per our requirement, we can return user dot, like first of all we will return the like username, and then we can return the email ID, then we will return the full name, and if we want to return the ID, then that also user dot ID. So these information we are returning once user will log in through that API, and after logging that API, when we are trying to access this API, we will get all this information. Now at point of this time, if I will access this one, So like for what we have to do, we have to authenticate or authorize this API, because after login only we have to access it. So for that one, first we have to make it as a get method. So HTTP get method, and after that we have to make it as a authorize. So for that one we have to write it as a authorize, and let's take the namespace, and inside this one we have to make a authorization schema. So authentication schemes, and that we have to make as a JWT barrier, because we are making it using the JWT. So JWT barrier defaults. Let's take that namespace as a JWT barrier, and after this one, like it is asking to install the latest version. So let's say to install the latest version. What it will do, it will find the latest version from the NuGet package manager, and then based on that it will install for us, and it will put inside the NuGet package manager. So currently it is saying like it's failed. Let's see why it is failing, or what we will do, we will go to the NuGet package manager, and from there we will install it. So let's go to the solution explorer, and from here like manage NuGet package manager, and here we will search like JWT barrier. So currently it is not giving because we have given some. So this we have to install. So once I will click on the install, what it will do, it will install for us, and currently it is not installing, and the reason is like we are using like not compatible with 3.1. so according to that we have to install. So let's select the respective version from here. So what we are do, we will install the 3.1, and let's install this version, and it is allowing to install us that particular version. So after installing, let's go back here, and from there what we will do, let's select the respective namespace and give that namespace here, and after this one like we can see now it is coming here, and after giving that, what we have to do, we have to do dot authentication schema. So that we have to do. Now let's run this application and again generate the token, and then after that what we will do, we will try to access this get student detail from that respective API. So it ran. Now let's put that API which we have created. So I will copy this one, I will give, and it's a get request, and after that like here what we have to do, so let's go here and select at a student info. So let's copy this constructor and go to the Postman. So this is the URL we have written here. Now we have to give the name of the API. So that is student basic info. Now what we have to do, we have to generate the token. So that will be a new token, and like that token we got here, let's copy this token, and then we have to give the token. So for that one, you go to the authorization tab, and here we have to select the barrier token from here. Once we select it, let's copy and give our new token. Now at point of this time, if I will give or send the request, we are getting an exception. And what is that? We are getting like no authentication handle is registered for the schema barrier. It means like still we didn't register our authentication. And in ASP.NET Core, what we have to do, for authenticating this API, we have to register this authentication inside the startup class. And for registering inside the startup class, we have to write couple of the lines of code. So let's write that code. So here what I'm going to write, I'm going to write JWT authentication, and for that one, let's close this application first, and let's write that one. So first what we have to do, we have to get the key, like on which basis we are going to getting the like JWT token. So encoding, and let's take it from system.text, this one, dot utf 8 dot get bytes, this one, and inside this one what we have to write, we have to write the configuration. So that is configuration, and inside this one we have to write the key. And what is that key? That key we have to write this and colon, and then key type we have to give from here. So this is the next thing, and then after that what we have to write, like dot to string. So that's it from here. Now next what we have to give from here is like service says, because we have to add the service. And what we are going to add, we are going to add for the authentication. So add authentication, and inside this one let's give default authentication scheme. First we have to define it, and for that one like JWT barrier, and default, and for that one like what we have to add, we have to add the namespace. And after that what we have to add, we have to add the schema. So that's the thing, from here we have to add it. And after that we have to add dot default challenge scheme, put here. So add dot, sorry, so here we have to put that one. So hit enter, x dot, and for that one like what we have to write. And the reason we are getting this issue, because we have to put the curly brace from here, and let's remove these semicolon. Here you put the semicolon. Now x dot, now next what we have to do, we have to add the challenge schema, and then JWT barrier dot, and next what we have to do, authentication schema. And after that we have to add x dot default scheme, and that we have to give from JWT barrier defaults dot authentication schema. So this we have to register, and after that what we have to do, let's take it here, dot add JWT barrier, and here what we have to do, add here, and inside this one here we have to write x dot require HTTP metadata equal to false, and x dot save token, that we have to make it as a false because we are not going to save it, and x dot token validation parameter, that we are going to give as new Microsoft dot identity model dot tokens dot token validation parameter, and that we are going to give as validation issuer sign key, and we are making it as a true, and issuer signing key making as a new symmetric security. Let's take the respective namespace. So let's verify the spelling. As a symmetric security key. Now edit token, and after that let's pass the key which we have taken up. Now after that one, what we have to take, we have to take validate issuer. So let's take it and make it as a false, and after that like validate audience, we'll make it as a false. Now we'll make as a clock skew equal to time span 0. So that, and after put this, put the semicolon. Now let's run this, and after running this one, what we will do, we will do the testing through Postman. And here, so now let's go to the Postman and send the request back, and once we send the request back, we should get the output, and we are looking like respective data we are taking. Like let's run it again, and like what we have done, like we have login with the MS and 1 2 3 4 5 password and respective information we are getting, like whatever the information we have given as a for MS, these information we have given. Let's, instead of this MS, let's give the dot and generate the token for this one. Copy this token and give this token here, and now give this information. So we are getting the respective information. So this is the way of generating the like or authenticate our API using the JWT authentication. Like this code we have written inside the services, or like as a services inside the startup.cs class, and here we have write our API. So where it is, that is student basic info. So that API we have written here. In the coming video, we will create our UI using the Angular, and then through that we will register and log in the API. Like through that we will log into the application and will try to access these basic info. So that's it for this video.